One day in 1950, top theoretical physicists working on the Manhattan Project had lunch together. They were all core members of the project. The conversation shifted to aliens. Enrico Fermi, a physicist, asked everyone the question, where are all the extraterrestrials? It's a good question, and one that everyone has thought about at some point or another. That said, it's really odd that Enrico Fermi would ask this question. Not only was he awarded the 1938 Nobel Prize in Physics and played an integral role in the Manhattan Project, but he also helped develop nuclear energy. Along with J. Robert Oppenheimer, he is considered one of the architects of the atomic age, though he had many skills. His talent for quickly estimating a mostly accurate answer to questions that would normally be difficult was impressive. For instance, how many ants are there on Earth? How many piano tuners are in the USA? Fermi was able to answer these kinds of complex questions. This is because when he used his traditional method to estimate the amount of alien life in the universe, he came across a startling contradiction. The Fermi paradox is a paradoxical question. Here's why. The contradiction that this paradox poses us with is where we think we should be able to find aliens, but are unable to do so. Why are we unable to find them? This video will answer all your questions about the Fermi paradox. Wow, I am pretty confused. How can the ancient extraterrestrials exhibit a paradox? Fermi arrived at his conclusion based on the number of Earth-like planets that exist throughout space. According to his calculations, there are around 100 trillion civilizations in our observable universe. The Milky Way galaxy should contain around 1,000 civilizations. This is based on the estimation by Fermi. It has been verified by American astrophysicist Drake using the Drake equation, which is a more rigorous methodology used to calculate this number. It turns out there should be way more than 100 trillion intelligent civilizations throughout the universe. If it turns out that life is actually very common in the universe, with countless civilizations out there, then why have we found no trace of them so far? It's possible that in 3,000 years we could be a Type 2 civilization. After 100,000 or 1 million years of development, humanity could be a Type 3 galactic civilization. According to Kardashev, a Type 3 civilization should leave traces of itself in the galaxy. For example, physicist Freeman Dyson came up with the idea for a device called a Dyson sphere. A Dyson sphere could theoretically harvest virtually all of the solar energy that reaches it. The concept of an advanced artificial object that can self-replicate was proposed in 1949 by mathematician John von Neumann. In the context of space exploration, a self-replicating spacecraft is similar to an organism and could build copies of itself from raw materials it acquires as it travels through space. Von Neumann predicted that advanced civilizations would send numerous self-replicating spacecraft out into space to search for resources or other intelligent life. Once a spacecraft arrived at a planet, it would immediately replicate itself and then set about exploring and collecting data for the civilization which sent it. Since spacecrafts can be launched out of a civilization's planet, and they are capable of replicating themselves into more ships, then if an advanced civilization had done that millions of years ago, we should now be able to see lots of self-replicating spacecrafts in their galaxy. However, we've been unable to confirm the existence of even a single one of these spacecrafts in the Milky Way. Of course, Dyson spheres in self-replicating spacecraft are just examples of possible technologies that an advanced civilization could create to expand their boundary. Scientists have been saying that the slow growth of civilizations could mean we could come across an advanced civilization. I mentioned this because it would take around 1 million years for us to become a Type 3 civilization. It might seem far away, but all of these points are worth hearing. That's just a tiny fraction of the time. They can't be a Type 3 civilization if we found no trace of them. This contradiction where the extraterrestrials is the Fermi paradox. There are many explanations for this paradox that attempt to answer why we've been unable to discover any alien civilizations. These explanations can be broadly classified into two opposing schools of thought. One is that intelligent life is exceedingly rare or even non-existent, and the other points to megastructures that are beyond our capacity. We humans like to think that we're the only intelligent life in the universe, but is it really for sure? Other planets could have simple forms of life on them, and not as advanced as what you can find on Earth. The reason for this is that it's nearly impossible for a planet to satisfy all the requirements necessary for advanced forms of life to develop. For example, Earth's atmosphere, magnetic field, and distance from the Sun are what allow us our specific conditions. And its distance from the other planets are just some of the infinite conditions required for life. Earth is the only planet that satisfies them all. In other words, we're the first advanced civilization in the universe. The Great Filter asserts that life is constantly improving through billions of years of evolution. Yet there's always a risk that these improvements will lead to its own demise. The only hope for a civilization would be to overcome this Great Filter. One of the barriers could be the creation of life. Life exists thanks to a complex combination of chemical substances and functions that work miraculously. However, life is always difficult to create in the lab, even when we are close to breaking through. This could be because it's just not possible, or because it requires some other conditions. It is thus difficult to say that humans will ever form a civilization capable of developing themselves without significant outside help. This is the second barrier to life, but not the last. While this is a high bar to pass, life on Earth took around 1 billion years before it evolved from simple forms to complicated ones. Briefly put, it's quite obvious that we've had some major barriers overcome in order for society to reach the level it is today. In the future, there may be other obstacles, but no one knows what they might be. One possibility is that humans will eventually be wiped out by nuclear war. Unless, of course, we find space to colonize and so use up some of Earth's resources before they've all been used up. The population will gradually decrease because there wouldn't be enough food. There might be some other difficulties in the way too. One possibility is that any civilizations which might have existed are destroyed by a barrier they can't get past, which appears insurmountable. This is why we can't find a single alien civilization even today, according to the Great Filter hypothesis. If this hypothesis is true, the fact that we haven't found extraterrestrial life yet would actually be a good thing for humanity. Who knows if extraterrestrial life exists elsewhere? But if it doesn't, that means that we've already overcome some really tough obstacles, and having conquered those challenges puts us in an exclusive position among the universe. If we do find some evidence of extraterrestrial life, it would mean that other intelligent civilizations aren't as rare as we think. It's possible they exist throughout the universe. Unfortunately, that means it's likely we're close to a turning point. If alien life is too alien, the chances of understanding them seem bleak. There is nothing more all-consuming and inspiring than human curiosity, and so I think that this is a natural course of action. We've been researching possible electromagnetic waves for years now, and only have theories about the potential of their origin. However, aliens may not use electromagnetic waves like we do. It's also possible that we wouldn't be able to understand what we're seeing, even if an alien civilization was thriving right in front of our eyes. For example, the human body. Even if these bacteria had some level of intelligence, they probably wouldn't be aware of the existence of humans, or even that they're inside them. That covers the three explanations I have for the Fermi Paradox. But I'd like to mention one other explanation that really caught my eye. The dark forest theory refers to a hypothetical scenario in which communication with extraterrestrial intelligence is only possible when both parties can signal each other at regular intervals. This theory presupposes that there are many intelligent life forms in the universe, all with the same goal of increasing their development while sharing limited resources. The existence of other civilizations is the biggest obstacle in the way of achieving these priorities. For example, our universe may be like a dark forest. Each civilization is like a hunter carrying a rifle, who hides himself in the woods and is always on guard. Imagine if we met another one of these hunter civilizations. Misunderstandings would be all too common. Differences in upbringing and race, as well as differing levels of use with communications, would make understanding each other a challenge. Therefore, it would be difficult to determine the other civilization is friendly or hostile, since we don't have enough information. If the other civilization claims to be friendly, it will be tough to know for sure whether this is true. On the contrary, If we attempt to show that we are friendly, it is possible the other civilization will see us as dangerous because of our seemingly inferior culture and would want to do anything to push back. We will be unable to understand one another due to language barriers, and they may continue to suspect our motives because they do not know what motivates us. A misunderstanding in your comprehension could lead to the destruction of your own civilization. If you found out another civilization existed, the best course of action would be to destroy it in order to eliminate the threat. Most advanced civilizations throughout the universe would have no choice but to understand this and would do whatever they could to remain hidden. Increasingly, scientists are suggesting we need to think about ways of concealing our civilization from potential threats. Is this theory actually true? If so, it may answer the question why we haven't found any Dyson spheres or self-replicating spacecraft. That's a pretty depressing theory, but it could be worse. For example, the Earth prison theory I talked about in my previous video could also explain the Fermi Paradox. There is another theory which follows a similar path as the dark forest theory. It is claimed that there is a single super-civilization in the universe that monitors the universe for activity and destroys any civilization that develops into a threat. There are many possible reasons why we haven't found any aliens yet, and none of them are perfect. One of the following explanations has to contain the truth, but we don't know which it is. The Fermi Paradox, the unexplained question of why the universe seems so vast and yet is devoid of intelligent life outside of Earth, remains a mystery. However, if we never figure out what it was that even led to this paradox, it might be better for us to have not done so.